Hey internet, what's good? It's your girl Mercy, and I'm back with another video for Black History Month. Today I'm going to be talking about Ella Josephine Baker. She was an African American rights activist and a human rights activist. She worked alongside some of the most famous civil rights activists of the 20th century, including W.E.B. Du Bois, Thurgood Marshall, A. Philip Randolph, and Martin Luther King Jr. She also mentored many emerging activists, including Diane Nash, Stokely Carmichael, Rosa Parks, and Bob Moses. Baker criticized professional charismatic leadership. It was more for grassroots organizing and radical democracy. She wanted the oppressed to really understand their world, their rights, and their ability to really change the world that they lived in. She wanted people who were marginalized to advocate for themselves and not look for someone to advocate for them. She has been ranked as one of the most important African American leaders of the 20th century, and perhaps the most influential woman in the civil rights movement. In 1938, Baker began her work with the NAACP in New York, and in 1940 was hired on as a secretary. She traveled widely throughout the South, recruiting members, collecting money, and setting up chapters for local areas. In 1943, she was named director of the branches, making her the highest-ranking woman in the organization. Ella Baker despised elitism and placed her confidence in many. She believed that the foundation for social change started from the bottom. People worked at the smaller, less significant jobs, but she believed that that's where the true fire and driving force and foundation of social change really came from. She didn't believe in the credentials and the status of the higher members in being able to actually change things. She believed that the little members of the groups were the ones that were the most important, the ones that could really put the boots to the ground, speak out, and make change. She was especially passionate about getting young people and women to organize to fight for marginalized groups, knowing that they had a huge population and a very large and strong voice to use, but weren't often heard. So she encouraged them to get up, to speak out, to get involved, and to really be a part of social change in their community. Ella Baker was also known for recognizing the classism and sexism that existed within the civil rights movement. Being that she was a woman of color who was just a secretary at the NAACP, she recognized how many people doubted her and thought that she couldn't do it, thought that she couldn't be a driving force in the civil rights movement, and she knew that just wasn't true. Baker's fire for the civil rights movement came from all the stories she heard from her grandmother, Bet Ross, who was actually raised in slavery. She heard all the stories of people being beat and the violence and the hatred and the anger that came with being a slave, and that really riled her up and made her want to change things. Baker was also influenced by the Harlem Renaissance. She knew that widespread local action was the real true way to make social change happen in communities and throughout the country. So guys, that was Ella Josephine Baker, one of the most influential women in the 20th century civil rights movement. And today, I know I didn't learn about her growing up, and I think if we knew more about people like that and really understood the message she was trying to put out, that locals, regular people can make social change. It's not all about who the president is, who's in Congress. Granted, those things are important, but when you want something and you strive for something and you advocate for something and you fight for the rights of yourself and people like you and other marginalized groups, you can make a change. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your social status is. It doesn't matter how much money you have, what your job is. If you are adamant and you advocate for change, you can make change. So that's the end of today's video. Let me know down in the comments who else you want me to talk about this month. And again, it's Black History Month. Celebrate our history, celebrate our heritage. And yeah, that's it. Remember, be yourself, be kind to yourself.